President Trump is back in Washington after the holiday weekend, and it appears his mind remains on immigration. In a series of tweets this morning, the president slammed Mexico for not stopping so-called caravans of people from entering the country. He also called for Congress to pass border legislation suggesting they resort to a, quote, nuclear option if necessary. And he blasted Democrats, claiming DACA is dead because they didn't care or act when he moved to end it. After months of expressing support for the program, he's now insisting it, quote, no longer works. This continues a pattern of attacks that began when the president was in Florida over the holiday weekend. There he went after Mexico for NAFTA, accused immigrants of trying to take advantage of DACA, and renewed his call for a border wall, all on Easter morning. Anita Kumar, she's a White House correspondent for McClatchy News. Hi, Anita. Hi. So in less than 2 days, the president has sent out 7 tweets on immigration. Is there something in particular that's got the president more focused on this issue right now?
Sure. I mean, it's really a couple things. First of all, he was very unhappy with how a week ago the spending bill went through in Congress. You know, this was the bill to fund the government, so the government stayed open, but it did not provide the money he wanted for his border wall, his signature campaign promise. It only provided $1.6 billion, and not a lot of the money was for new construction, and it definitely wasn't for the wall that he wanted. It's just for more border security. So he's still been upset about that. You know, if you'll remember a week ago, it seems so long ago, he threatened to veto the bill. He did not, but he's still been riled up about it. Mm-hmm. In Florida, he did meet with some supporters of his, some Fox News personalities, friends of his, who think that he has not gotten tough on immigration. He promised to do it, and he still hasn't done it. And so that's really kind of gotten under his skin, and he's showing it in his tweets.
Now, Anita, in one of those tweets, he called for a, quote, nuclear option. What does he mean by that?
Sure. He's actually done this periodically since he's been president. He wants the Senate to change its rules. Right now, we won't go through all of it, but basically the Senate needs 60 votes to get a lot of things done. He wants them to go to a simple majority, so 51 votes. There are just not enough Republicans in the Senate for them to get a lot of things done. And so he thinks it's preventing him from getting immigration done, but a lot of other things as well. And he's called time and time again for Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, to change the rules. Mitch McConnell does not like when President Trump or anyone else tells him how to run the Senate. So I don't know that that's going to go anywhere.
Now, on DACA, the president is blaming Democrats. He's saying no more DACA deal, suggesting there are people trying to take advantage of the program. So where does DACA stand at this point since the president's move to end it?
Right. His tweets were a little bit just factually not correct. What's going on right now is that he stopped the program. You know, the deadline he had given was March 5th. It's still in existence in some ways because of a court case, but the DACA isn't. The administration is not accepting new applicants. So he mentioned in at least a couple tweets that people are trying to take advantage of the program. They're not able to take advantage of the program. It's not accepting new applications. So there's that one thing. But also, new immigrants aren't eligible for DACA in the first place, even if it was going on. So there's a couple things that are just not correct there.
Right.
But what the situation is we're waiting for the courts to decide, and it's going to probably be months, probably even into next year before that happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just to clarify, DACA only applies to immigrants who entered the country illegally as children over 10 years ago. So again, does not apply to any current new immigrants. So if the courts rule President Trump can end DACA, has the White House explained what their plan is? I mean, what would that mean for the Dreamers?
No, they haven't explained the plan. They haven't actually. We were coming back after the long weekend here. He's been gone since Friday to kind of get some answers to some questions. Currently they don't have a briefing scheduled today at the White House. They're having the Easter egg roll there today. But no, they haven't explained. What they have said is that they've consistently said that it's the Democrats' fault that nothing has happened because the president has said many times that he had a deal, he wanted a deal, any good deal he would sign. And if you talk to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer over in the Senate and the House, they'll say, well, we've had several deals. Mm-hmm. We've had, 5 or 6 deals where he said initially that he'd be okay with, but then he walks away from.
So, Anita, do you think, taking all of this into consideration, that immigration is going to play a major role in the midterms? And who has the advantage if it does?
You know, it's a little bit, it's gone back and forth. If you'll remember, we did have a government shutdown earlier this year, and Democrats really got blamed for that. They shut down the government in part because they wanted Dreamers to be protected. A lot of people are upset with them that they let this spending bill go through without anything dealing with Dreamers or DACA. So, you know, I do think it'll be an issue just because immigration is such a huge issue in this country right now. President Trump has made it the forefront of what he talks about. So I think it'll definitely be an issue, and I think it's still a little bit early to tell which party's going to get the blame because things have been going back and forth.
Right.
I don't know that a lot's going to get resolved by then. Congress has kind of put it on the back burner waiting for the courts to decide.
Right. Well, switching gears to the economy, since immigration rarely overshadows the economy in elections. It can sometimes, but it's rare. China slapped tariffs ranging from 15 to 25% on 128 U.S. products. All of this, of course, is in response to President Trump's steel tariffs. Which are the products exactly, the industries that are affected here?
Oh, there are a wide variety, and I think the thing that, you know, China had threatened to do this initially, right away, when President Trump had talked about his tariffs. So it's not a surprise. What was surprising is that they did it all at once. They had talked about spreading it over, I think, 2 tiers, you know, first a group and then later on a second group. So I think they're talking about pork, wine, food. So a lot of issues, you know, a lot of industries that are really important to farmers in the Midwest. A lot of people that voted for President Trump supported him on the economy. This is exactly what a lot of people said would happen, and the White House kind of has pushed back on that and said, you know, we're not going to end up in a trade war. You know, it's not going to happen. Even if China does do this, you know, people in China will still buy American goods. They're not going to turn to other countries, to Europe or South America, and it just remains to be seen if that's
right.
the case.
And the White House did respond by saying, quote, China needs to stop its unfair trading practices. So does it look here like either side will back down on this?
It sure doesn't look it on this side. You know, the White House has been really firm. When President Trump announced this a few weeks ago, they did not back down. A lot of people told him to, thought this wasn't the right way to go. But, you know, they've been standing firm. So it sounds like both sides are really, you know, serious about this.
So what could these trade tensions then mean for other aspects of the U.S.-China relationship? We know it's already a fraught relationship, and of course you put North Korea and Russia into the mix and it gets even more complicated.
Right. I was just going to mention North Korea. This is a time where the United States is trying so hard to, you know, make some headway with North Korea. Talked about, you know, President Trump announcing that he wanted to meet with the North Korean leader. You know, the United States needs China in that situation. There's even talk that the meeting, if there is a meeting between the two leaders of the two countries, could be in Beijing, possibly. I mean, so China really needs to be on board with that. I mean, but just looking at the economy alone, I think we saw the stock market plunge already today. People worried about this. These are the 2 largest economies in the world, so there's just going to be a lot of economic ramifications.
Absolutely. Well, Anita Kumar, thank you for your insight.
Sure. Thank you.